Dr. Tom Roselle live right now on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Good morning and welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. Unfortunately, Dr. Tom Roselle had to be out of town this weekend, but I'll be in here doing the best I can to cover for him. My name's Dr. Poe, and we're going to talk about a couple interesting things. So the same rules apply if you tried and applied and have gotten the same old, and you're not getting anywhere with your health, then give us a call, 1-888-630-9625. We'll see if we can figure out some ways to either improve your health and wellness, get you on a better track, what you need to do to keep it, and what you need to do to always increase the potential of your health, because that's what we're really about, is not only just getting you out of illness or sickness or wherever you are, but always improving it, always taking it to the next step, to the next level. So we're here. Give us a call. We're going to talk about a few different things today. In studio with me today, I have, once again, my lovely wife, who I think is probably the best trainer in Northern Virginia. She's here with me today, and we're going to talk about a few things relative to exercise. Now, when we were on the program earlier this year, actually on New Year's Day, we talked about some of those goals that we had set and New Year's resolutions. And we've kind of noticed that the gym has kind of thinned out, that we don't see as many people as we were seeing there initially. And I think I even made a comment about how I'm going to be annoyed those first couple months. So today's kind of bittersweet. I'm kind of happy because I have more room, but at the same time, kind of sad to see that a lot of people have fallen off the wagon. So,
as predicted, 3 months ago, we, I say it every year, come the first of the year, and it's, the gyms are packed and there's no way to move around, and here we are, middle of March, and there's breathing room once again. And, a lot of people just tend to make the same mistakes over and over. They don't really stick to their goals. There's reasons why they lose that motivation.
And that's what we want to talk about today. What happened? Where did, if you've fallen off the wagon, if you're just not getting in there as much as you should and as often as you should, what happened? Where was the breakdown? What happened? And just like what we always talk about with health, and whenever we talk about anything going wrong with you, with your health and wellness, we talk about the Triad of Health, and we talk about the three real pathways that get broken. You've got your structural pathways, your biochemical pathways, and your mental emotional pathways. And we talked about this earlier. This is really no different.
Right, exactly. But I'll say with exercise in itself, emotions are what motivate us to do everything in our life, especially exercise. And, a lot of times people they get frustrated, they stop seeing their results, and, the question is why? What made you stop? What made you disappear from that gym? And
that's what we want to try to help answer today for you, and really give you some good, simple, easy advice, some real simple insight to think about, to get you back out there and get you back on your goals. The longer you go, the more you drop out, and the longer it goes, the harder it is to get back in there. And those of us that have done it before, we realize that. So first off, just like with the pathways we talk about, structure is often a problem. Maybe you weren't quite ready to get in the gym and do what you needed to do. Maybe you had old injuries that had never healed. But one of the things that we see with a lot of patients, the reason why they start programs and then never really finish them, is they get injured.
Right, and a lot of the most common injuries that I tend to see with people when they first sign on with me would be knee injuries, low back injuries, hip injuries, believe it or not. And it all goes back to, did you push too hard on your own? Did you, not strengthen up your core first and go and do some heavy lifting? What was the reason that this happened?
Okay, so back up and just tell us real briefly a little bit about the core.
Okay, real briefly. The core is basically your foundation for any successful exercise program you want to get involved with. Simplest way to put it is it's everything except for your appendages. So if you take your arms off and your legs off, what you're left with is really your core. And a lot of people don't understand that it's not just your abdominals. It is your low back. It's your pectoral muscles. It's your upper back. It's everything.
It's big muscles, and it's a lot of little muscles too. And the big muscles we kind of get.
Right.
A lot of people know, I need to work the chest, or I need to work the big back muscles, the lat muscles, and things like that. But there's a lot, and those are the muscles that you can control. There's a lot of little muscles that you really don't have direct mental control over. They're intrinsic muscles. They're controlled by a part of the brain called the cerebellum, and they're running all the time, that's what keeps us upright. That's what keeps you balanced. And those are the muscles that get really weak when we're not ambulatory. We're not up walking around. We've lost our gait patterns. We've lost the ability to. We're always kind of unsteady on our feet. Those are the muscles that have gotten weak.
And again, that goes with most people's lifestyles. They sit in front of the computer most of their day and they don't get stimulated. They don't get exercise. So, general balance tends to decrease.
We're gonna spend about the second half of the program. We're really going to get into the core and how to really strengthen it up. Because it's very simple. It's much more simple than you think. But when we talk about structural injuries, and you talked about, you get knee injuries, you get low back injuries. The first thing I would say is if you have an injury, get it looked at.
Right. Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. Get it looked at, because when we ignore it and we say those dangerous words of maybe it will go away, it's gone away before, but it's come back again. That's how you build in chronicity, and that's how you build in, real problems, degenerative problems in the low back, degenerative problems in the knee. If you get those things examined and you find out what's wrong with them, where's the breakdown, how does it need to be fixed, and you go about actually healing the structure and fixing it, you'll be able to go back and you'll be able to exercise pain-free. One of the things I hate to hear from patients is that I would love to exercise, but I can't because I hurt.
Right.
And there's no reason to hurt from structural injury. And it's one of these things that's synergistic. It builds on itself. When you have an injury, you've got to get some components fixed, but then you've also got to start to strengthen the muscle, strengthen the joint structure to get it supported again.
And a lot of times what will happen, and I see this a lot with people in the gym, is they'll ignore that injury. So what happens is the other muscle groups in the body will tend to support the injury to keep the body going, and that's actually when you see long-term significant injuries that take a very long time to come back from.
Because then it's just not one knee, but then it's both knees, because the other one's been compensating for a long time. So we'll give you an example. So, for instance, if we send somebody over to you and we said, this patient had a knee injury, and we've done the things we needed to do to repair the joint, to start to strengthen the soft tissue, but now they need to rehab it. Something like that. Where would you start with?
Basically strengthening up the muscles that support the actual knee itself. So you're talking about your quadricep muscles. That's your big thigh muscle. Getting in there, angling the foot certain directions to isolate the individual quad muscles itself. Working the calf muscles, working the entire leg. So essentially, the knee is supported and gains that strength back. And
then afterwards, on the tail end of that.
And the one thing I would have to say that I'm kind of guilty of from time to time is stretching.
I think we all are.
Yeah. Most people do not enjoy stretching. I personally don't, but I still have to do it. And when you do actually work with a trainer, at least you are getting accurate stretches, things that will help you, not hurt you, because believe it or not, there are some stretches out there that can increase the injury if you're not careful.
So the bottom line is, if you're in pain, and that's really the reason why you haven't gotten back into the gym, or that you've left the gym, or that you're just not working out at home, or however it fits in your lifestyle, if it's an injury, if it's pain, there's no reason to have that. There's no reason to allow that to go on. It's one of those things that if you get it looked at, if you get it fixed, and you do it quickly, you can usually get full resolution. If it's something from a sports type injury like that, if it's something that you allow to build in chronicity and you continue to ignore it and you continue to just let it go, those are the patients that we see that come in that have serious degenerative problems. And the longer it goes, the harder it is to get it back, and the longer it takes to get it back to full health. So it's something that if it needs to be looked at, get it looked at, give us a call, you send us an email. We're always available just to chat with you and see, what's going on with this, and we can get it fixed for you. The other big reason, just like with the Triad of Health that we see, is biochemical. Maybe you've gotten in the gym and you've just exhausted yourself and worn yourself out, and you're at a place now where you're so fatigued, you're so tired, you just can't keep up with it. And I know you've seen clients that are like that.
Absolutely. A lot of times what will happen with my clients is they'll keep pushing themselves, or they, I'll say, make sure you do rest 24 hours between you work this next muscle group. And a lot of times what will happen is they'll ignore that advice and they'll end up doing cardio in the morning and then going and lifting weights in the afternoon. And a lot of times people wake up more fatigued. They lose that energy. They lose that drive and that desire to keep going into the gym.
When that happens and you get to that place, and there's a very simple process to figure all that out. There really is, and there's lots of different reasons that happens. Now's the time, if you haven't had it done, and I can't believe the number of patients that come in and, when's the last time you had some simple blood work done?
Right.
2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it's one of those things that you really should have just some basic blood work done every year. And if it's been that long, get it done. If you're starting an exercise program, get it done for a couple different reasons, to make sure that going into it, you don't have things like anemias. You don't have things like poor blood sugar control, poor blood metabolism, that you don't have any risk markers for cardiovascular disease, that the biochemistry looks appropriate for where you want to exercise. Because if you do have things like anemias or thyroid problems or adrenal dysfunction or blood sugar metabolism problems, you get fatigued incredibly easily.
Yeah, and you really think that that's half the frustration. Well, I've got a couple people that suffer from symptoms like that or issues like that where they will, they will say, Erin, I understand why this has happened to me. I'm doing everything you're saying. And, we'll go back, we'll look at the blood work, and lo and behold, it's an adrenal issue. It's a thyroid issue. And, unfortunately, that will slow down the training process, but there are things you can do to help that. There are supplements you can do to help support the body. And a lot of, people have to remember, you deplete your system out of nutrients and vitamins when you train. I mean, that's part of what the sweat's all about. And if you don't, put those things back into your body the right way, it's just a slow downhill defeat.
Aside from any metabolic pieces like that, where you've got, basically with anemia, that's getting the oxygen in the cell. With blood sugar metabolism, that's getting the sugar into the cell. And you've got to have those two pieces to burn together to make energy. And then the thyroid is kind of the throttle for that. It's the thyroid hormone that regulates the speed of metabolism. So let's say those look good, and you're not having any tendencies towards those things, which a lot of people do, and you'd be surprised. It can come down to, it's a nutritional issue.
True.
It's a calorie in, calorie out kind of issue.
Yeah.
And you're not supporting yourself enough nutritionally.
Right. And, a lot of times, I hear, okay, I'm going to go on a no-carb diet. Okay, well, how are you going to fuel yourself through that workout? You need your carbohydrates. Just what kind are you going to do? Or you get the other scenario, oh, yeah, I'm eating, and then I'll get a food log from people, and they're eating 1,200 calories. Well, they're starving their body. And, you've got to find that happy medium where, your diet is very balanced. It's, not over in one category and under in another. And, you've got an ample calorie level, but still low enough that you will lose the weight if that's what your goal is.
And it depends what the goal is.
True. And not hurt yourself.
Nutrition is one of those things that it's very easy, but you really have to have a little bit of guidance there, because you've got to know, well, what's my goal here? Why am I exercising? What am I doing it for?
Do you want to gain size? Do you want to lose weight? Are you trying to get stronger? What is it?
All those things matter when you set up your diet, when you set up your nutrition. And you need to know, is a fat-free diet acceptable? No, of course not. We want to have good fats in there. But depending on what you want to do, what percentages, what kind of fat, when do you want to eat, how often you want to eat. One of the things I talked about last week, Dr. Roselle and I talked about on the radio, was blood sugar metabolism, and I had a lecture last week on it. Very good lecture. Everybody seemed to enjoy it very much. We had a lot of calls for it. I'm actually going to be doing that again this Wednesday night, so if you'd like to attend that lecture, please give us our office a call, 703-698-7117. But one of the things that many people were surprised about was how easy it is to lose that, and how many people actually were having problems with blood sugar balance. Welcome back to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I'm your host today, Dr. Leonard Poe. In the studio with me is my lovely wife, Erin Poe, who's a personal trainer and works with a lot of our patients to get them better, get the physical well-being back and strong again. And that's what we're talking about today. What happened with some of those New Year's resolutions? Did you fall off the wagon? Did you stop going? Did you give it up? What are the reasons why, and how do you get back out there? End it talking a little bit about blood sugar metabolism, which is one of the big ones we see. And like I said, the lecture I did last week, everybody seemed to really enjoy it. We had a lot of extra calls, so we will be doing that lecture again this Wednesday night at 7:30. If you'd like to come, it was waitlisted last week. It will probably be waitlisted again this week, so please do. If you want to attend, please give our office a call and reserve a seat, 703-698-7117. Blood sugar, anemias, those things are very easy to fix. The tough one a lot of times is getting the dietary values where you want them to be, and that's why it's so important to figure out what are your goals. How do you need to work towards these things? How do you need to break up the ratios of nutrition in your diet? And I'll tell you what, anybody can get that wrong, even me, because I went through that a couple months ago, where once my lovely wife dug into me a little bit and saw what I was eating, was appalled to some degree, because I wasn't getting the caloric intake and the protein intake in that I needed to be able to really repair for the kinds of exercises that I do.
And you saw it when you were going into the gym to lift. You saw that you weren't making your gains that you were striving for.
Yeah. She's right. I learned how to say that a long time ago. So I changed my diet. I changed, I did some things to help with some poor blood sugar metabolism that I was getting into, and had her help me with some of my dietary values, because even sometimes the doctor needs help with that. And I'll tell you what, making those couple little changes and taking a little bit of time off to give my body a chance to recuperate, a chance to heal, I'm back in the gym and doing things better than I was a month ago.
True. So
it makes a big difference. Couple other things I want to talk about real quick. We've got some things coming up later on in the year. It's time to mark the calendar, set aside some time. October 20th is going to be Ageless Health 2012. Last year was phenomenal. It was just a fantastic day. I couldn't believe. I was surprised at just how much fun it was, how much information there was, and how much people really enjoyed coming to it. Everybody had a very, very good time. We had some guest speakers. We're going to have another guest speaker this year, I believe, but October 20th. So start thinking about that. I know it seems awful far away, but I can't believe we're in the middle of March already.
It'll be here before you know it.
This year is flying by faster than I could possibly imagine. So think about it. Save the date. It's coming up. Plan for it. It should be a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot. The next piece we're going to talk about, and we'll kind of prep you for it before we have another break here in a minute, is that emotional side of the triangle. And that's kind of the one where a lot of us fall off the wagon. Either we've lost our motivation. We're not seeing because of one or two reasons. We're hurt and we're trying to work through that, and it's, we get frustrated. Or because we're so fatigued, we're so tired, our metabolism is working for us the way it should be. We're not seeing the benefits of our, the fruits of our labor. So we get discouraged about it.
Or mentally, you're just overwhelmed with your life, and this is the last thing you want to deal with.
Yeah. You have other things on your plate, do you think? Work and family and all the other things in life, and it's kind of like, how do we fit all this stuff in? And we're going to spend the second half of the program really talking about a lot of these pieces, because it's challenging sometimes. I have a job, I have, 2 kids, I have a wife, and I have, many other things that I have to do during the week. It's got to become a priority, and, it's got to be a piece that you're always willing to put in there. But even I have my weeks where it's too much, and I've got to figure out, how do I make it work for me? And we're going to spend some time talking about that and really getting into it. Welcome back to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I keep hearing the spots for him out there, and it's like he's still here with us. I can never quite get away from him. If you've got questions, if you've got concerns, please give us a call, 1-888-630-9625. We're talking about exercise and why you've fallen off the wagon and what happened and why aren't we getting as much of it in, what went wrong, where did it all go down, and how do you get it back. In studio with me today is my wife, Erin. Once again, probably the best trainer in Northern Virginia.
Well,
she knows her stuff. She's very good. She's worked with many of our patients to get them back, get their physical capabilities back, get them stronger, get them more stable, really get their physical endurance back to a place where they enjoy exercise, they can do it without pain, without any kinds of problems at all. And so she's here with me today.
Yes, I am.
We just started talking a little bit about that third reason why people give up, why you've lost the will to go in there. And it has to do with that mental, emotional side of the triangle. Either we just don't have the determination that we had before. We were discouraged about something. And if it's one of those things, if it's that I'm just not seeing the results, then get yourself evaluated. Come in, see us, let's look at you from a physical standpoint, let's look at you from a biochemical standpoint, and really figure out, well, why aren't you seeing the results? Is it something as simple as anemia? Is it something as simple as a thyroid problem? Is it because you're in pain? And let's fix those things. Let's get you to a better health place so you can not only just get the exercise that we need, but you enjoy doing it. Exercise, physical, hard, strenuous physical exercise is just as much of our physiology as anything else, as sleeping is, as going to the bathroom is. We're supposed to have physical exercise on a daily basis, and it's so important to you. It's one of the most important things. That and nutrition are probably the easiest, most important things that you can do for yourself to really empower yourself over your own health. And that's a big thing. We're always looking for, well, how can I take control of my own health? And those are the two easiest ways.
Those two components right there have also been referred to as the fountain of youth. That's the search for, I don't want to get older, I don't want wrinkles. Well, you know what? If you keep your diet extremely clean and you exercise regularly, guess what? You're not going to age as fast. You're
going to look fantastic at any age. It's like Jacqueline Lane used to say, you take, nutritionist or exercise is the king and nutrition is the queen, and you put them together and you've got a kingdom.
That's right.
And it's very, very true. Now, if it's a matter of, I tried to get this in my lifestyle, and I was pretty good for a couple weeks, but man, I've just got so much stuff to do. Like I can't get to the gym today. I got to go do this. I just don't have time to exercise when I get home. I got to get the kids fed. Believe me, I get it. I've got a lot of stuff on my plate too, and that's the hardest one. But there's ways to get the exercise in still, and there's ways to keep it in your lifestyle, but that it's not overwhelming, so that you don't lose what you've gained. If you're going through a time where you've just got extra stuff on your plate, you can always fit it back in.
That's right, you can. You don't necessarily need the gym. It's a great place to go because at least you're committed to an environment. But again, if your life is at that point where you've just got X, Y, and Z going on, then doing something as simple as, let's say you're going to the grocery store. Well, don't park close. Park at the very last spot of the parking lot and walk into the store. That right there helps you get your footsteps in for the day. If you're walking into a building and you're presented with the elevator or the stairs, well, guess what? Take the stairs. That counts towards your exercise for the day. There are little things like that you can do throughout your day to help keep your body in movement, keep it going, keep it stronger. So when you do eventually get back to the gym, you're not totally lost all the ground that you've put into it. I tell a lot of people that, my weekdays are getting crazy. I don't know if I'll be able to get to the gym. Well, I'll tell them the same thing. During your lunches, get up and walk around, take the stairs, do little things like that. Save the weekends for the gym. Most people have a little bit more time on the weekends.
Yeah, it can be as simple as, and the great thing is there's a lot of companies out there that are really into their employees' health, and I know several of them that sponsor fitness programs where they'll get the employee a pedometer, or that's one of the simplest things. You get yourself a pedometer and you mark some goals. You want to have X amount of miles per week that you've put in on that pedometer. It can really be as simple as that.
That's right. It's for me, it was, I kind of made a game with it one time when I was training a client, and I got a pedometer, some sort of goodie bag that I got, and I put it on one day at the gym, and I wanted to challenge myself to see how many steps I could physically take while I was training clients. And it kept me motivated. It kept me going while I was still training people.
And I'll tell you what, here's a perfect question for us. We've got a caller. Robert in Springfield has a question for us.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Listen, I guess most of the conversation sounds like it's been aimed at people who are younger than 60, but I'm just curious about how somebody in their 60s gets started in the gym. I know that I'm sort of short on breath, and I feel like if I got in a gym that and I'd probably keel over, and they'd be calling 911 as soon as I got my first rep going. So can you address that issue a little bit about how older people can get started?
Absolutely, Robert. And in fact, it's not cared towards younger people. I've got clients older than you that I work with that I have in the gym constantly. Since you mentioned that you are out of breath, a lot of times when you do kind of get up and get moving, my first place would say, when I've been on the program before, I've always told people, get yourself a heart rate monitor. That is your safety net in terms of being in charge of your own health when you're in the gym. Also, get yourself paired up with a trainer. Get somebody who's familiar with beginner exercises, who can kind of ease you through it. Get on a treadmill and just start walking. That is the most basic thing you can do when you go into a gym, because that way you can control the speed. You can control the intensity that you do as well. Go over to what's called the functional area, where it's not necessarily the machines per se, but you'll see a lot of like mats there. You'll see balls. You'll see free weights, and just do some basic stretching exercises. A lot of times gyms will have boards up that'll instruct you on how to stretch properly, and that's just kind of a good way to ease your body into an exercise program.
Yeah, it really, from what we've been talking about, it wasn't meant to be geared at all towards a younger crowd. The same rules apply. It doesn't matter what your age is. It's a matter of, making sure that structurally and biochemically you're at a good place. But beyond that, getting the exercise routine started, and you can do all the same things. You just do it at a different tempo, a tempo that's geared more towards you. And it's real easy to start and go from there. But the same kind of rules apply. And if you're not sure and if you're confused, that's what trainers are for. Get a trainer. Don't be afraid of a trainer. I mean, you don't have to stick with them long term, but at least it's a guiding point for you.
Exactly. Okay. Also, I guess that just starting it, like you said earlier, is come in and find out what your baseline is. Do the blood work, sort of find out where you are physically, and before you get started on the regimen or something like that. And
that's true. That's true for everything. You got to figure out where are you, because if you go too hard or you do too much and you're not in the right place, or if you do too little, you're not going to make the gains you want. So absolutely, you want to find out where you are so you know where to begin safely. Thank you for your call, Robert. I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. It's a starting place for everybody. And, that's why, a lot of it does come back to, if you don't know what to do, whether you're talking about nutrition, whether you're talking about exercise, that's what trainers are for. That's what nutritionists are for, to figure out and help you and place you at the appropriate place. But really, I'm sorry if it came off that way, that, no, these rules apply to all ages. It doesn't. I don't care if you're 20 or you're 80. The same rules apply. The same kind of exercise things apply. Just the level that you're at just depends on your age, your experience level in the gym, and what you're trying to achieve. We've got another call. Reese from Fairfax. Good morning.
Hi. I just heard your last caller. I am almost 67. I have never left the gym.
Good for you.
I've had 4 major surgeries on my right hip finally replaced, and had my left ankle replaced last year. And I couldn't imagine not being in the gym. My strength level has not decreased significantly. I do pyramiding weights, decreasing reps. I do aerobics and anaerobics every other day, half hour to 45 minutes for the aerobics. And I still press 250, 260, and have not had major injuries. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's you're a perfect example
of what we're talking about.
It can be any age, and the gym's not a scary place.
That's why I called.
Yeah,
because you can do it. I talk to friends of mine now who are about my age, and they look at me like I'm nuts.
No.
And it's a shame, because it influences your entire body chemistry, the hormonal balance, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
As well as your quality of life.
That's
My
right.
Gosh.
And you probably feel it. When you haven't been at the gym for a while, you feel it.
Absolutely. I have to get back, and with the surgeries, I've had 9 major surgeries, and I probably could barely walk if I wouldn't have stayed in the gym. and kept its discipline. It's self-discipline. It's making yourself do it a lot of times.
That's right.
But I'm very comfortable there also. I mean, I love lifting. Mm-hmm. I love the feeling that I get. I love the feeling I have after, all that stuff. And once you get into it, it's hard not to do it.
That's right. So you've experienced the high that you hear people laugh at you saying I get a high from lifting and exercising.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for calling, Reese. I mean, that's really, it's so true, what he said about changing biochemistry. It's one of those things that when you're in the gym and you're lifting, you're resetting the stress, the hormones are working the way they're supposed to, you reset your neurotransmitters. It's unbelievable what it does to your biochemistry and your neurochemistry. It gets you feeling so much better. And, just like Reese was saying, it's something that 67 years old, and he's still in there. I can tell you firsthand with myself, my loving husband over here will look at me, and I'll have had a day with the boys, and he'll say, do you need to go to the gym? Because that, for me, is my way to rebalance my system, to get that high, to get energized again, and to feel whole. It's the absolute best stress relief. Mm-hmm. But if life happens and if you don't have time, what are the easy ways to do this at home? Okay, so basically enough, you don't need equipment to exercise at home. You can use your entire body as weights, as the machines. I mean, there are basic ways to just start training your body at home. One is, I tell people, go ahead and start with what's called a wall squat. You support your body up against the wall and you slide your body up and down into a squatting position. The squatting is one of the best exercises you can do pretty much for the whole body. I mean, you're hitting your deep transverse abdominal muscle, you're hitting the hip flexors, you're hitting the quads, the glutes, major big muscles that help support the body. You can go walking. You can climb your stairs up and down 10 times. If you have some hand weights, you can do some gentle arm movements, raising them forward, raising them to the sides, pushing it up over your head. Ladies especially, working over your head is so important because that's where we're the weakest. We don't have shoulder strength like the men do. And working those muscles in an upward motion are really some of the best things you can do. Learning how to breathe properly, what's called belly breathing, where you actually contract the abdominal wall and pull it into your spine while you're breathing, is how you actually retrain the pelvic muscles. And again, we don't use them, so you have to retrain them, refire them. Welcome back to the program. I'm Dr. Leonard Poe. Here in the studio with me is my wife, Erin Poe, and we're talking about exercise and what you can do, how can you get it back, why you lost it in the first place, what happened to those New Year's resolutions, where did they go? And we spent a lot of time on the program talking about why we fail, all those different things, but what are some of the basic things that you can start back with? And before we left, Erin was talking about, you don't need a lot. You can get away with really simple things at home. You look at somebody like a Herschel Walker, who never touched weights, and phenomenal football player, huge guy. I mean, strong as an ox. I mean, just a great athlete. He didn't use weights. He did all body weight stuff. Right. I mean, your body is your best exercising tool that you have. One, because if you're continually getting stronger, your body is going to work with you to achieve your goals. If you want to get a few pieces of equipment to have at the home, when we get into that time crunch, people are like, I have maybe 10 minutes a day I can commit to this. Okay, well, you know what? Let's max out those 10 minutes. Get yourself a stability yoga ball. Get yourself a BOSU if you want to. Get yourself a pair of hand weights. Get a couple different weight sizes. Ladies go lighter, men go a little bit heavier. The good news is with the yoga balls and the BOSU balls, a lot of those actually come with instructional videos, so you're not going at it blind. Another thing you can do is get a pull-up bar. Those mount right into a closet doorway. And if you spend 10 minutes a day doing basic things, that's going to help you from falling off the wagon even further if you can't get back to the gym. One thing that people are saying, well, I don't want clutter in my house. Okay, don't buy the things. But while you're at work, if you've got a sedentary job, there's 3 things that you can do. If you were to take a minute for each one of these exercises, you would actually feel better at the end of the day. And I tell people to do this throughout the day multiple times. Stand up and do body weight squats for a minute. Do some wall push-ups for the minute. And stand there and lift your knees up and do what's called high knees for a minute. Getting your body to move like that for a full minute at a time, doing it multiple times throughout the day, will help you
kind of maintain that strength that we're looking for.
I tell patients all the time that want to start getting active, it's one of those things that literally it can take a few minutes a day. And it's, you know what, I tell them the same thing. Get a yoga ball, a Bosu ball, which is kind of that half yoga ball. And, if you Google core exercises, you're going to see 1,000,001 different exercises you can do.
And it's not just sit-ups. It's, again, you're fine-tuning the small, intricate muscles of the body. And, that's where I want people to understand. You're not just laying on your back doing crunches. Conditioning your core means doing all sorts of different things, and a lot of it's fun. You shouldn't be afraid of it.
And it's fun. It's easy. It's, it takes very, very little time.
Right.
It's something that can be done incredibly quickly with very little effort at all. It's something that's just, the core exercises are, standing on one leg.
That by itself is going to challenge your core. It's being able to lift your knee up to tie your shoe and balance on one leg. Can people do that? Half the people can't. You get so stuck in a sedentary routine that you lose the ability to, do things that you naturally should be able to do. Can you lift one leg up and actually close your eyes and maintain your balance? It's, little things like that.
And it's keeping those little things into the routine, okay,
right.
And with some regularity, not letting them drop off, because when they start to drop off and it goes and it's been, I skipped this week, but I'll get back next week.
And you skip that week.
And then another week. And before we know it, a month's gone by, and now we're starting all over again.
Everybody's got their iPhones with their calendars in their iPhones. Me, I'm still old school. I've got my pencil and my paper, and I have to go in and write everything down. Well, schedule in your 10 minutes on the days that you want to commit to working out, whether it's old school like me or you've got your iPhone and you schedule it in that way. But, have it in there so when you're looking at your schedule for the day, okay, you've got to get 10 minutes in some way, somehow.
It really is about lifestyle, but the thing to remember is you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to plan these things alone. Get some help with it. We're always more than willing to help you. Find a trainer, find a nutritionist, but get the help you need to be able to set that goal and get it and do it the right way so that you get the results that you want to get. Don't forget, October 20th, 2012, Ageless Health. It's right around the corner. Mark the date, save the date. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for listening to us this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it. Dr. Tom Roselle will be back next weekend. I'm sure he'll love to hear from all of you on some new, interesting, fun topics. Everybody, please have a good weekend. And first thing, tomorrow morning,
go to the gym.
Go to the gym.